everybody, welcome back. I'm Chris, here with a look at the running back position for the Week 14 contests on FanDuel, DraftKings, and Yahoo. We're dropping these position preview videos every single week throughout the rest of the season, so if you like that, we certainly appreciate it if you could consider subscribing to the channel, like the video, maybe leave a comment below if you have any questions about a running back this week. We'd love to see you do that. You can also consider joining our Discord. That's linked above the description of every video, and we'll give you the opportunity to talk to other Occupy staff and members about every single NFL DFS slate throughout the rest of the season. Running back position here in Week 14 is kind of interesting. We have a lot of mid-range plays. We have a couple of elite, expensive plays, and not much as far as value is concerned. But there are still some spots worth exploiting. The best matchup, I think, is Josh Jacobs against the Kansas City Chiefs. Not normal to lead off a running back video with a running back that is a 9.5-point underdog on the road, but this is a really unique situation because Jacobs' playing time has been increasing of late. Now Kenyon Drake is injured. We do expect a lot more work for Jacobs than normal as a result. Saw the targets really spike last week, 9 targets against the football team. This is an offense that utilizes Jacobs heavily recently. 78% of the remaining team carries without Drake available belong to Josh Jacobs over the last 3 weeks of play, and 10% of the team targets. This is a pretty poor rush defense in general. We've talked at length this season about how Kansas City has been pretty poor defense on net this year, playing a little better of late, but still a great spot for Josh Jacobs. I think Josh Jacobs certainly makes sense as like a one-off run back, if that makes sense for the Raiders, if you like those Kansas City stacks in your tournament lineups this week. So consider Josh Jacobs as one of the better plays at running back this week. 6,200 on DraftKings, 7,100 over on FanDuel. At the top of the salary table, hard to get away from Austin Eckler. Justin Herbert's favorite target, and Keenan Allen will be unavailable on Sunday. So expect Austin Eckler to see more targets than normal, and that certainly makes his price tag a little bit more palatable here. 8,300 on DraftKings, 9,200 over on FanDuel. He's got 57% of the team's carries and 22% of the team targets over the last 3 weeks when we adjust for Keenan Allen being out of the lineup. So really strong overall role for Austin Eckler here in Week 14 against the New York Giants. Antonio Gibson with the football team at home against the Cowboys. He has 72% of the team carries for the football team and about 15% of team targets over the last 3 weeks of play. So even if we get J.D. McKissic back, and it does look like that's extremely likely here, shouldn't really affect how we feel about Gibson. Gibson is still going to be the lead man in this backfield. He may obviously get subbed out on third downs and in some up-tempo passing situations with McKissic back, but he's still going to lead the team in running back touches, especially, between the 20s, especially on the early downs. So have to like the opportunity for Gibson to get a lot of volume and hopefully get a lot of fantasy points for us on that volume as a result. Alvin Kamara with the New Orleans Saints finally back here in Week 14, getting to return against the worst defense against running backs in fantasy football this season. Jets allowing the most fantasy points per game to opposing running backs. This is one of the better ones that they've seen all year and will see all year. The only obvious concern with Kamara really would be Taysom Hill. These two guys could cannibalize each other's opportunities on the ground, and that obviously would be pretty bad for Alvin Kamara. But he should be one of the better targets in this offense for Taysom. Without Deontay Harris available, he's been suspended. Kenny Stills has been released from the team, so it's a pretty thin receiving core anyway, and Kamara has been one of their better players for quite some time now. So we'll look for them to get him back involved heavily in their offense against the Jets. Leonard Fournette has the strongest red zone role in the league on this slate, just slightly behind Jonathan Taylor overall on this season. 58% of team carries for the Buccaneers, 16% of team targets over the last 3 weeks of play. Don't really expect anything different here in a pretty important matchup for the Buccaneers in terms of trying to get the number 1 overall seed in their conference against the Buffalo Bills. Some other running backs that I do think will be interesting this week that I haven't spent too much time on personally, but Saquon Barkley, 67% of the team carries over the trailing 3 weeks of play. Giants still dealing with some issues at quarterback and receiver, so could still be a game plan that is in favor of Barkley, and he is facing a Chargers defense that has allowed a lot of teams to run all over them this year. Saquon, will we finally see the Saquon of old? We might not get a better spot for it, right? So Saquon, an interesting play this week in tournaments. Ezekiel Elliott, we know he's nursing a knee injury, but we also know that Tony Pollard is nursing a foot injury, so we could see at best, if Pollard's able to play, limited work for him, and that would lead to increased work for Elliott, which we certainly would like to see if we want to play him here. He's already got a pretty strong red zone role for the Cowboys, leads the team in running back touches inside the red zone. So anything with Pollard that limits his opportunities would be a good thing if you're a fan of Ezekiel Elliott at 7,300 against the football team this week. Finally, the only real value available to us on this slate, and it's kind of scary, Jeff Wilson of the San Francisco 49ers against the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, Wilson has a knee injury, but apparently it's not going to affect his ability to start this game and hopefully, according to the 49ers coaching staff, handle the majority of backfield touches. They have JaMychal Hasty behind Wilson as a completely healthy alternative, but he's played mostly as a change of pace, passing down back for them, so maybe they just don't trust him on those early downs between the tackles, right? The other issue here for running backs with the 49ers is Deebo Samuel has a pretty good chance to return this week, and he was already pretty involved in the backfield in recent weeks, so if Deebo's able to play, it sort of takes away from all these guys. I feel like Wilson has some risk for in-game injury, re-injury of that knee that he's been dealing with, but if you're going to play a 49ers running back in DFS contests this week, Jeff Wilson is probably the best one to consider. That is really it. That's how we're looking at the running back position this week. I hope that this was a helpful rundown of how to approach it for you. For more information, you can check out the Daily Plug at occupyfantasy.com. We go more in depth into our favorite plays at all the different positions this week. We also give you tips for attacking your type of contests that you intend to play on the slate, whether those are your low-risk contests, those would be your 50-50s, head-to-heads, double-ups, or high-risk contests. We want to make sure that you're well prepared to attack those contests effectively. It's the most important part of the plug. As always, for Occupy, I'm Chris. Thank you for watching this video, and we will talk to you soon.